Yeah, right? Good morning, everybody. We are here in my hometown. And what you're looking at right now is the main building in downtown Kissimmee, the Osceola County Courthouse. Now, guys, for years, I used to have my own docket down here. I used to write so many tickets. And I got to know the clerk's office pretty well. As a state trooper, we spent a lot of our time here at the courthouse, and we build relationships more with other agencies, heck, than we do other police departments. And I am so honored to have one of the 4 constitutional officers of Osceola County. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the Osceola County Clerk of the Court, Kelvin Soto, in the vehicle today. Sir, welcome in.
Thank you, Trooper Steve.
This
thank
is
you
cool.
for the kind words, and yeah, it is. It's an amazing privilege and an honor to be invited for this ride along.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Before we get going, buckle up for me, and then we're going to hit the road and talk about. I want to know a little bit about you first and foremost. You came into this position. You've been involved down here a little bit. Talk to us a little bit. Where are you from originally?
Well, my name is Kelvin Soto. I'm the clerk of the county courts, the Circuit Courts, and County Comptroller, and I was elected to this position in 2020.
Okay.
I'm originally from Puerto Rico.
Where in Puerto Rico?
Aguada.
Where's that? So I look like I'm from Oklahoma, but my parents are from the west side of the island. So Rincon, Maya West.
That's the side. It's
yeah,
Aguada,
nice side, yeah.
Aguada is neighbors. Is between Rincon and Aguadilla.
Ah, okay. So we have a beach house over in that area. So
yeah.
Awesome. We're neighbors.
Yeah, and I joined the Navy out of high school. So
nice. I was an Air Force guy. Look at us. We got more in common than I thought.
Yeah, I served for 6 years, and then after that, I used the GI Bill to go to school. I stayed in the reserves.
Nice.
Studied science. I was an epidemiologist, and then I went to law school and moved over to Florida, where I've been here since 2005.
So what made the transition from an epidemiologist over to law? That's almost like me going from law enforcement to becoming a news anchor. It's 2 different worlds.
There's a lot more that public service is really such a strong connector between careers.
Right.
That basically, if the desire is to serve the community, public health is an amazing way of doing that.
There's so many different avenues too, right?
Absolutely. The other one, of course, is the law.
Right.
And public health can take you only so far. You need the policy to really bring it to the community.
So did you think your medical kind of experience side and wanting to serve there, then transitioning to the law, really made you more of an understanding of how the fundamentals of it all works a little bit and stuff like that, the ins and outs?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the proverbial red pill.
Okay. No, yeah, it makes sense.
You get to understand not just how things happen, but why they happen.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well said. That is the reasoning behind certain decisions are made or certain procedures are done. I like that. I like that a lot. So when you went to law, what kind of law did you practice?
I started out with the public defender.
Okay.
Bob Wesley hired me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So you how long were you an attorney for?
All the way till 2020.
So you made that transition right and then went straight to run for county office.
I did. I was a school board member. That's part-time.
Right.
So I was a school board member for 8 years. And that gave me now the experience of how, government works.
Right. That must have been pretty interesting going from a part-time, and we say part-time, but we really know when you're a school board member, it's part-time salary, but full-time work. You guys are out there nonstop. People don't understand it's part-time, so they're always coming to you.
Yes. There's a lot of, I guess the responsibility is certainly full-time in the sense that you really have to dedicate a lot of your professional focus into the issues that come before the board.
So what drove you, there's a few other positions you could run for to drive your heart to serve. What drove you to the clerk's office? Now, I having an understanding of the clerk's office and your job, I get it. But for someone who wouldn't understand being a lawyer and then running for the clerk of the court, what drove you there?
Well, rarely would anyone, unless they have been working in the organization, really with someone who hasn't been working in an office such as the clerks, really know what the job entails.
Or want to do it.
And if they did, they may not want to do it correctly.
Exactly.
So it was my idea that the clerk had a very important function, not just to protect the public trust, but I actually felt like the clerk had the function of bringing the understanding of the judicial system to the community, so that people understand the importance of that service, they could support that service, and so that educational component was probably one of the things that I really felt that attracted me to the position.
Have you been enjoying it so far? Has it been overwhelming at times?
All of that, and it has been the best professional experience I've ever had.
That's a lot to say, especially being in the Navy. Lord knows the things you've seen in 6 years. I know in 4 years active duty in the Air Force, nothing in my life will compare to some of the stuff I experienced then.
Yeah, and sometimes I even miss that.
Oh, I'm sure the structure of it, right? But when I don't think that, like, I love politics. I'm obsessed with it. And the clerk of the court, the responsibility is huge. So talk to me a little bit about the roles that the clerk's office plays for the county that most people don't understand, that affects their daily lives.
And that's interesting. You mentioned that point. A lot of folks are not really going to spend a lot of time thinking about what the clerk of the Circuit Court County Comptroller
right. They're just like, oh, I got to go pay something.
But there's good reasons for that. The first important reason is, what we do for example, as county comptroller, we maintain the contracts and the financial transactions and records of county government.
You're almost like the gatekeeper for all the other organizations, right? Making sure the finances are in order.
Exactly, because record keeping is important, and being able to provide reports is important, especially for the decision makers.
Right.
And so there needs to be accuracy, there needs to be precision, and most important, there needs to be trust.
Right.
So we're kind of like a watch. You wear it, you depend on it, it gives you time, but you seldom think about all of the carefully manufactured and precisionally crafted mechanisms behind the face of the
brilliant
watch.
Way to put it, because yes, the clerk's office is a watch. Okay, cool, it tells my time, but within that office there are so many different avenues that you guys are handling.
Each one of those pieces, or for the analogy to continue, gears, has to be carefully crafted, has to be precisioned, it has to be accurate, and most importantly, it needs to work in synchronicity.
Right.
In harmony with the rest of the pieces.
Because you're working with multiple different agencies, not only law enforcement, but attorneys' offices, judges, federal and state offices, tax collector, maybe sometimes the supervisor election. I don't know, but the sheriff's office, big time too. You guys have so many different liaisons and stuff like that. It's not just all about, oh, I have to come here to reinstate my license, or I have to pay my ticket and stuff like that. You guys are keeping almost the structure of the courthouse together.
Yeah. The other thing about it, just like a watch, you don't, when it's working well, you don't think about it.
That's true.
It doesn't really come to your attention. The better that we do our job, the less people will be aware that about us and what we do. But
you're segueing perfectly into something I was going to say. Go ahead.
But I'll finish it with this on that thought. But that's important, because the reason that you sort of think about us is because of the level of trust that we've earned from the community.
This is true.
And you're not going to really think, to trust something is to go ahead and say, okay, I know it's there, I know what it does, and I don't have to think about it twice.
No, that's...
And so that's like, applying that to an organization is quite interesting, but what it takes to maintain that and
unimaginable.
And trust is like a currency. You have to continue, and it's very easy to lose. And so everybody in my organization, and I'm hoping that I'm setting that example,
right.
We know that we're on 24/7.
I think that almost sounded like a quote out of like a piece out of a motivational book, because just how you're putting that, it's trust is a currency. It's tangible in certain sorts. And what I was going to say, how you were segueing into one of my thoughts I wanted to make sure I said today, it's like you don't hear about things. You don't ever hear about a clerk's office unless it messed up.
Yeah.
Like the day-to-day great things that the clerk's office does, whether it's maintaining budgets or making sure that people are getting their licenses squared away through the system, you don't hear about it unless someone's complaining. And I think that is something to be said. Since 2020, we haven't really heard much come out of the Osceola County Clerk's office in negativity, but we have started seeing some of the programs that you have implemented. And I think that's pretty cool. Talk to me a little bit about some of the stuff you've implemented since taking office, because I think some people really like, oh my gosh, I can't afford this. The system is all on me. But you guys offer some relief stuff every now and then.
That's correct. And I absolutely want to talk about our Operation Greenlight.
Operation Greenlight, yeah.
Started yesterday and
goes to the 11th. My birthday is on the 11th. So I was like, say, this is the program you're offering right here, right?
That is it.
Awesome.
And I'll talk about that. But I'll briefly mention a few things. Today, I'm talking about what we're facing, as a society, maybe as a species, is a level of technology that for most is incomprehensible.
Okay.
And I will tell you, it really is. It's been, technology is developing at an even faster pace than it has ever before. But organizations have to be able to leverage that technology into things that they do every day for the community. So yes, we've invested a lot in training and in upgrading technical systems and technical, IT infrastructure, IT security. We have to do all of that because, again, we're the record keepers. People need to trust us. But the other things that we've done, and we'll get right now to Operation Greenlight, is initiatives to connect the community with the courthouse in a way that is not related to the law, but that enhances the thriving in the community. So one thing that I'm very proud of the staff and my team is the Nest Gallery, which is we converted the second floor of the courthouse. That's where almost all of the things. That's where people are going to come for Operation Greenlight, into a museum. And so our walls are actually decorated well, and we present student art from our local high schools, which are curated and selected by a committee and curated.
It's almost like you're not forgetting that, yes, you are the executive of the courthouse, but you are a constitutional officer that serves the community.
Yeah, that's very important. And by the way, that's what drove me to this position.
Right.
Everything else is what made it amazing.
You're not hired. You are an elected position.
I am an elected position. I have a duty.
And is that what allows you to put on operations like this? Because you have those authorities to implement stuff like this?
This one in particular has been around for a while.
So what is Operation Greenlight?
Operation Greenlight is actually by statute. Okay. And what it allows is for, and by the way, we're not limited to just doing it once a year. Okay. But what it does is, well, now it comes into your area. Okay. One of the most important privileges that we have in this society is the ability to drive. And getting a driver's license is absolutely a validation that you as an individual, the society and government trusts you. You have the training, you have the maturity, you have the experience to operate a motor vehicle in our public roads. Yeah. That's your language right here, Trooper. Right. And so,
you're right on it.
And so it is an amazing privilege. And it also it's also a necessity, for a lot of people. It affords the flexibility to work, go to school,
function independently.
Function independently. And so it really impacts the quality, the standard of living for individuals. A lot of people, because of many reasons, be it folly or misfortune, right? They may lose these privileges. They may get their licenses suspended. Right. And, they may not be able to afford. Now they can't drive, they can't go to work. And then there's collection fees. And
it just starts building and starts building.
Yeah. Our collection agencies put 20%. That's what they charge on top of what they're collecting. So during Operation Greenlight, anyone whose license is suspended, they could come into the courthouse. We'll go ahead and look at their driving record and analyze their driving record completely. Find where there's places that we could waive fees, waive collection costs. Then sum up everything, all of the financial fines and court costs that they need to pay. We'll put it together. We'll make a payment plan. They don't even need to bring the balance to zero. and then we'll give them the necessary document and clearances to go to the tax collector's office and get their driver's license.
Okay, so basically, they're not even fully paying this off. They're basically agreeing to take care of it through you guys, through an amazing opportunity that you guys are working out on an individual basis. And then you're giving them the clearance paper, I think the
D6.
D6, yeah, I was like D something. The D6 to go and get their license.
That's
and
right.
this is not even a worker's permit. This is to get their full license back.
Full. Trooper Steve.
That's pretty awesome, Clerk.
The debt could be 10 years old.
And you're still going to help them out
Yes.
during this
We'll
program.
waive collection fees. We'll waive late fees. We'll do all of that.
Clerk, I don't think some people, that's hundreds of dollars in case,
We help-
some situations, maybe even over thousands of dollars for
Absolutely.
some people.
We helped 500. I think the actual number is 534. Somebody, I asked for it
Right.
yesterday, and my community specialist, Vianette, she gave me a nice little. But I could tell you right now how that impacted our local community.
Wow.
And yeah, over 585, so I guess 585 something individuals benefited. We collected over 34,000 in fees, and we reinstated 450 licenses.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
pretty cool.
Because I'm going to tell you from experience, I run into people all the time that their license gets suspended for whatever reason. We're not going to get into that today.
Correct.
Right.
Misfortune. Folly or misfortune.
Right.
Exactly.
It just happened.
By the way, we're neutral. That's one of the nicest
Well,
things
you're
about
not the
being-
enforcement side.
The
You're
nice
the
thing-
administrative.
One of the most beautiful things after being an attorney and being a public health scientist, all of these things that I've done in the past, where I advocate for a certain thing, and I'm proud to have been, championing public health initiatives, research, also being an advocate, in court.
Right.
I've done that. It's wonderful. But being the county clerk and county comptroller, it's a neutral position, which allowed me.
You don't have to take a stance on anything.
Well,
that's controversial. You're here just to administrate.
But then for this humble servant from Puerto
Right,
Rico,
right.
I never imagined I would be in a position like this. But it comports so well with what lends to my personality of being just analytical,
Okay.
reasoned, critical thinker. So I'm in my environment. So basically, this neutrality, this independence, really allows for not just me, but for the mentoring that I do with other staff into being the critical thinkers. And that's what we do here.
Right.
We don't take a side about anything. We just go ahead and we look at what the process are. We make them as good as they can, as reliable. We maintain the trust, and we serve the community, everyone, regardless of whatever,
Because that's your job.
because that's the job. And it's very important that it be done that way. It wouldn't work any other way.
Right, because there is an expectation of integrity with our court system. And it takes an individual to maintain that. And you are that individual, you and your team, of course.
Yes.
And I think when you got a courthouse, you got a clerk, that it's functioning properly, it's got to feel good. And I'm sure, and I've seen it in so many different ways that, elected positions, some people have very diverse backgrounds, and then they get into a random elected position. I would almost say your path lines you up for the clerk of the court's office.
Looking back, and of course, that's the only way that we could do it. It seemed very natural.
Good.
Nevertheless, I never really would have thought I've been in this position.
And I see you at
10
events
years
all the
ago.
time, and it always looks like you're having a good time. You always look like you're in a happy place. You look like you're blessed. It looks like you're enjoying your daily. And I think that is uncommon, at least with some of our constitutional officers, because their jobs are super busy and stressful. You have a busy, stressful job, but you're enjoying it.
I am.
Good. Good.
And I appreciate everyone's support. And
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to come down to here today. My mom still lives down here. I grew up down here. Osceola's got my heart. And anytime I can get one of our big wigs, you being one of them, into Results One here on News 6, that we could talk to the community, I really, really appreciate this.
I appreciate the opportunity to join you on this ride along. Allow me one plug in.
Yeah, plug it away, please.
It's been very popular.
Okay.
So we process passports. So we have a contract.
That's big, please,
We have
yeah.
a contract with the Department of State.
Okay.
And when people choose our office to process their passport,
Okay.
let's just say we perfect that application.
Interesting.
We even
Okay.
take the picture. We do with the
Everything,
whole 9
full
yards.
service.
And I just wanted to plug in
Please plug it away. That's why we're here. This is a
that when
info.
people, please select the passport card.
Talk to me the importance of the passport card, because I did not get one, and now I want to see why I should get one.
It is a guaranteed form of ID,
Okay.
to prove citizenship.
Okay.
to residence. It's easy to carry. It works for any travel between Mexico, Canada, and the Caribbean. So it was really made for cruise ships.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I just think that rather than carrying a passport, which is really required when you go far, but it's also good for like voting or
Good secondary ID that is 100% acceptable.
And you know that ID issues are always being.
Yep.
It's been politicized and weaponized and all that. But
It's a
look,
good way to stop the problem right there in its tracks. Leave me alone, kind of thing.
So
Awesome. Well, Clerk, I appreciate you jumping in the truck today. Guys, if you need more information, head over to their social media. The Clerk has all the information right now up on his Instagram for Operation Greenlight, plus other events that are coming up throughout the year. Facebook page, of course, their website. But for now, we appreciate the Clerk of the Court here in Osceola County joining us. Sir, you have a great day, and we'll see you guys later. See you guys.